And Dr. Chris Kordic in studio tonight.
Good evening.
And it's awesome to have you here, Dr. Chris.
As always.
As always. If you guys have been listening for any amount of time, you know that the purpose of this radio show and why we are here is to empower you to understand that you were created to be healthy and well, that God doesn't make junk, that He doesn't I really don't believe that He created us to have to live on medications for the rest of our lives. I don't believe He created us to just suffer through life. But the Word says that we're supposed to have an abundant life.
Yeah.
And I believe health is part of that. And you can have abundant health and vitality, but we have to do the same things. In our current system, the way that we live in society, Dr. Chris, is that we wait until there's a major problem before we do something. We wait till there's a crisis in our marriage before we go to counseling. We wait until we're at rock bottom before we cry out to God. We wait until we're about to file for bankruptcy before we decide to do something about our finances. We wait until we get a diagnosis and we hurt so bad that to do something about our health. And we really want to empower you to change the way that you think about that. What about being proactive? Because, I'm just going to say this. There's no amount of money that you could spend on chiropractic care, on eating healthy, going to a gym, that it would ever equate to the amount that you're going to spend sick, suffering, disease down the road.
Yeah.
So this time and this money thing that are objections and obstacles, you got to throw that out the window. Because the reality is it costs way more to be sick, time, energy, and money. It costs way more to be sick. But we want to help you live life to the fullest. We want to help you with vitality and enjoying life and just being able to do the things that you dream about doing. I mean, it's so often that we have people come in, Dr. Chris, and ask them, okay, why are you here? And they have a symptom. And then ask them, okay, what is that affecting? And they start going down the list of, well, it's impacting me at my job. It's impacting my family. I'm not able to go do the things that I want to do. I have this dream of climbing a mountain or being on the beach or doing all these things. And I can't do that because I have this diagnosis or I have this limitation. I have this sickness or disease. Guys, please understand, you can change that. You can start to get healthy and well, but it really has to begin with the right steps. Now, today, we're going to specifically talk about hormones. And hormones, it's probably one of the hot topics right now, Dr. Chris. I mean, if you look around and anybody in the medical field or even alternative medical realm, you start looking at stuff that they're talking about. It's hormones. It has something to do with hormones because your hormones are impacted by nutrition and exercise, but also your nervous system. We're going to talk about that tonight. But when your hormones are off, it impacts every other part of your health in your life. Like everything from your ability to gain and lose weight, to your mood and how you feel, to how your gut is working, to whether even developing cancer and heart disease, like your immune system, everything is tied together. So when we start talking about hormones, you got to realize it could even be if you're in pain. Here's a really good example because sometimes it helps kind of women understand this. It's like when you have your monthly cycle and it's getting ready to start and your hormones actually start to change and shift, one of the number one things that women notice is they start to have this abdominal cramping and they have back pain. That's because your hormones are changing. Like your hormones are off. And that just kind of puts it in perspective for me that how it's all connected and how your thyroid or your ovaries or your adrenal glands or whatever it is, your hormones being off can even cause pain or cause you to experience a lot of other symptoms that we're gonna talk about tonight.
Yeah, and there's so many different ways I want to go with this. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind when I was thinking about this morning, before we started the show, is just one word: responsibility. Responsibility for your health. When you start to talk about weight loss and you talk about hormonal issues, as we're talking about hormonal issues, we mean thyroid issues. Hyperthyroid, meaning you can't gain enough weight, which is few people. Most people, as they're gaining too much weight, the thyroid is underactive. It's hypothyroid. You have adrenal fatigue, and that comes from being stressed out all the time, right? Your adrenals get overfired, and that cortisol reaction, I guess that was the last show we talked about that, but the cortisol reaction starts to happen. And it's because you have this constant stress on your adrenal glands that think you're in this sympathetic dominance, that you're in this fight or flight mode all the time because you're constantly stressed. You're always lacking sleep. You're not forgiving like you should. You're not having your prayer, meditation time. You're not drinking alkaline, fresh waters. You're not eating real fruits and vegetables. You're on a processed food diet filled with sodas, and you're overweight, and you don't move around good, and you don't exercise, and you have spinal degeneration and spinal issues that are happening that are not allowing these different organs and cells to function like they should. So what we have to do is figure out, how's the thyroid working? How are the adrenal glands working? How are your reproductive organs working? For men, your testes and your prostate. For women, your uterus and your ovaries, and that whole system down there. How is everything working? And so you're asking yourself that question, like, how do we know if everything is working? And so what we do is we go back one step further. We ask ourselves, what controls those organs? And so if you ask yourself that, hopefully you're thinking the brain, right? Because the brain controls everything in the body. If I'm talking about the heart, if I'm talking about moving my arm around right now, it's being controlled because my brain is sending a signal down the spinal cord, and then it has one more step. It goes out nerve roots, and those nerve roots, at the end of every nerve is an organ. So now we know that at the end of a nerve root, your thyroid sits there. And so the only way for the thyroid to function correctly, and for your mood to be good, and your libido to be good, and your fat burning things to be good, it has to have a signal from the brain, right? So the brain sends a signal down the spinal cord, out the nerve, and it hits the thyroid. Brain sends a signal down the spinal cord, out the nerve, and it hits the adrenal glands, or it hits the hypothalamus, or wherever that's going, okay? So what we check for is we make sure that the spinal column is in the right position that surrounds or protects the nerve roots that go to feed those organs. How many times have you had this checked before? How many times? There's so many people out there that are listening that they've never had this checked, right? How many times, Dr. Rick, do we see people that come in that are on thyroid medication?
Oh man, it's like out the roof now.
Huge, right? People are always coming in on thyroid medication. And so when have you ever had your spinal cord, so what we check specifically for the thyroid is we're looking at the neck, because we know that's where the thyroid sits, and we know the nerve roots that come out of the neck are going to feed the thyroid. And so if those bones are subluxated, means they're twisted, shifted, they're out of alignment, it's now going to put pressure on the fascia, on the muscle tissues, on the nerve roots, and all those different things are going to now become inflamed, and they're going to have interference in it, and now the signal from the brain to the thyroid's not going to function properly. So as we correct that, as we start to adjust that, we didn't fix the thyroid, we fixed the communication between the brain and the thyroid, right? So this is how you start to get to the cause and actually start to correct the problems and not just treat the symptom. Because I really want everybody to understand there's two different models out there. There's a model that says I treat a symptom with a drug, medication, or surgery, and there's a model that says I treat the cause by figuring out what the cause is and removing the interferences so my body can heal the way God intended for it to. If you've never looked at it through this approach and this sounds intriguing to you and this is something that you want to do, you got to call the number. It's Max Living Radio. This is what you're listening to. It's 877-778-6978. That's 877-778-6978. When you call in, there's 3 offices. Myself, Dr. Chris Kordic, I'm in McKinney. Dr. Rick Royston is in Plano, and Dr. Aaron Wall is in Fort Worth. There's a $40 deposit you'll pay over the phone. That's going to hold your spot. So that'll cover your initial exam and consultation. If there's any x-rays we need to take, there's an additional fee for that. We'll let you know if we do. But just, really sit there and think, are you ready? I said this, I've said this before, the Coast Guard saves the people that are swimming to them first. Right? Who's swimming towards us? Who's swimming towards health right now? Who wants to get well? Those are the people that we want in the office. Those are the people that are ready to change their life. And they realize, like, hey, it's not going to be a quick fix. Hey, this is not something that just corrects with one visit somewhere, or one magic pill, or one magic vitamin, or protein shake, or smoothie, or whatever. It takes time for the body to heal. We can walk you through this process. I promise you, your life will be radically different if you call and make that appointment.
Yeah, I say this all the time in our office, but we've never had anybody come back and go like, wow, this really didn't work, or I wish I hadn't done this. Everybody gets change. Everybody can have their life transformed. Every part of your life can be better when you start taking the right steps. And we get to see these miracles happen in people's lives, and they get so excited and so pumped up, and you go, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to work. Like, that's just normal. Yeah. That's how your body is supposed to work.
And those are the moments, Dr. Rick, where we have to pinch ourselves and say, hey, this is awesome. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Even though we've said it 100,000 times, for this person, this is their first person to really hear this principle of above, down, inside out approach that your body's designed to heal, and for them to actually experience it when we're seeing this on a daily basis.
Right. And I think it does make sense to people. That's why so many people get drawn to what we're doing, because you come in and you look at these charts on our walls and you can see how the brain's connected to everything. And they go, oh, wow, that makes sense. Like sometimes we don't even have to, initially address that, because you bring it up because you look at that and you go, yep, is this why I'm having thyroid issues? Is this why my reproductive organs aren't working? Is this why my digestive system isn't working? I'm constipated, on and on and on. And it just makes sense. And you look at your spine, and it is what controls and protects how your nervous system works. They've actually shown, there's a lady that won a Nobel Prize based on a research that showed that 90% of how your brain functions and fires and the nutrients that it gets is dependent on your spine. Think about that. So it has to be in a very specific position, and it has to move a very specific way for everything to work well. And that's what we're masters at. That's what we're great at. That's what we do. People come in all the time and they go, why has nobody told me this? Because you went to the wrong type of doctor. That's not what they do. Well, I went to chiropractors. Yep, but they don't do what we do. They're not looking for the same things. And it really depends on what you want. Are you wanting to get to the cause? Are you wanting your life to be better? We can help you with that. I do want to address some more of these. You were talking about the thyroid, and maybe we can talk about some estrogen and testosterone for men, but also testosterone for women. I've started seeing this a lot lately. It used to be women are always, okay, my estrogen is off. And then, then started looking at progesterone. And now all these women are coming in and they have low testosterone. And if you have low testosterone, guess what they want to do? Give you testosterone. Well, we know that synthetic testosterone actually causes a lot of problems later on, can increase your risk of cancer and things like that. But it's not getting to the root cause of the issue. And some things just to help you kind of understand. Like if you have low testosterone, there has to be a reason. The first thing that you want to look at are the nerves that go to the glands that help produce the testosterone. How are those nerves functioning well? Are they getting the information to the adrenal glands and to the ovaries and some of these other glands that make this testosterone? But here's some key things. If you have ever been on the pill, like if you're a female and they put you on a pill because they said your hormones were off, or because you had acne, or you had headaches, or because just try not to get pregnant, and they put you on the pill, that it actually binds with certain types of other hormones in your body that prevents testosterone from being used. So you've got millions and millions of women that have spent years, sometimes decades, on the pill, and what it's been doing is slowly over time decreasing your body's ability to utilize testosterone. So that could be a cause of why your testosterone's low. Another issue is adrenal glands. We eat poorly and we're stressed out, like constantly stressed. So your body is producing cortisol all the time, and it causes your adrenal glands to slowly malfunction and shut down. And now they're to the point where they can't actually produce the testosterone. So you've got a lower issue there because you're stressed and because of the poor food choices that you're eating. Another reason could be because at menopause, most women think this is the time where I start to have hot flashes. This is where I start to get moody. This is where I don't sleep well at night, and I notice all of these changes happening. And yeah, your ovaries and your uterus, they actually do slow down at menopause, and they stop producing some of these hormones. But what should happen is your adrenal glands kick in. Other glands kick in to start balancing out these hormones. So in other countries, Dr. Chris, they don't even have terms for menopause because women don't go through the same type of changes that they do here. It's because of lifestyle habits that's created this. But when your ovaries and your adrenal glands actually start slowing down when you hit menopause, then that's going to limit your testosterone also. So you have to start looking at these a little bit deeper at what's going on and go, okay, how are these backstories working? And is that causing some of my testosterone issues or estrogen, or, for men? Like one of the big things that we see now is what's called aromatization. And this is where testosterone in men actually converts into estrogen, right? Testosterone is turning into estrogen in men. And of course, when men have a lot of estrogen, they start to see changes. The breast tissue enlarges, libido goes down, it can increase risk of testicular cancer and thyroid issues, lots of stuff like that. But then you go, okay, well, why in the world would I have this problem where my testosterone is converting to estrogen in the system. All they do though is you go to the doctor and they go, okay, your testosterone's low, we're going to start putting pellets in you, or we're going to give you shots. Well, that doesn't change the fact that your body's still converting a lot of that testosterone to estrogen. So what happens though, these guys start to feel a little bit better. You know, like, oh yeah, my libido's coming back a little bit, I've lost a few pounds, got a little more energy. And you're living under this false assumption that everything is okay, when in reality, you're just perpetuating this problem and going to create more issues long term. But the truth is, you know, Dr. Chris, we start looking at people's backs down there, that L5S1, you look at the low back and you go, okay, you've had back pain for years, it kind of comes and goes. Those same nerves go to control reproductive organs. And so now you're going to the restroom 5 or 6 times a day, your prostate's enlarged and your testosterone's down. Well, there's your low back issue. Yeah. You know, it's all connected. And that's why we start by looking at the spine, because, you know, we say this a lot, but you can eat healthy, exercise, you can do a lot of these things, and they're good for you and can help you live a long, healthy life. But ultimately, it boils down to how your nervous system is functioning and healing.
Yeah, and that's a big one down in the lower part of the spine, where you have those nerve roots that feed the reproductive system. And this is why, you know, no matter what you eat, no matter what you drink, no matter what kind of supplement you take, if you have damage to the nerve root that feeds your testes or your reproductive organs, and if you're trying to get pregnant or you're trying to have high testosterone, you know, those things just aren't going to happen. Right. There's no natural thing that you can take to remove interference that's on the nerve tissue, okay? And this is why that same person will have back pain, not constantly. It doesn't have to mean they have back pain every single day, but it just means their back is stiff, you know, a couple times a year. They might kind of throw their back out for 2 or 3 days, maybe it's a week or 2 weeks, that, you know, they're just, you know when you're those people that you throw your back out and you're like down for the count. You can't go to work, you can't do anything because that low back, and you just chalk it up to, this just happens a couple times a year. When your body is getting to that position, realize that is a huge deal, because it may only happen where you get in that much pain where you can't move around a couple times a year, but what about every single day where those nerves are being interfered with that are feeding the digestive system, and you've got and you're constipated. You don't go to the bathroom as often as you should, but you chalk that up to, oh, this is just normal. This is the way it's been for the last 10 years, as I go to the bathroom every couple days, right? That's not normal. When you start to get back up in the intestines, what happens? You hold on to toxins, the gut's not working properly. Where does your immune system live? Like 85% of the immune system lives in the gut. So if I don't have proper gut health, I don't have proper immune system health, and now I'm at higher risk for cancers and for diseases and viruses and bacteria and everything else that my immune system is going to fight off. So it's really big that you're able to understand that because of that low back pain, it's interfering with nerves that are leading to immune responses that are leading to all these other things. So please, please understand that you cannot just chalk things up to being normal, because they're what you make normal, and it's just not. So guys, the number is 877-778-6978. That's 877-778-6978. When you call in, $40 over the phone, going to get your initial appointment. Please, please call in. You know, make sure that you're ready for this, that you're in a position where you want to get well, you want to get healthy. And, you know, here's another thing we haven't talked about tonight that's like the low-hanging fruit here is hormones and obesity.
Right.
I mean, this is huge. So, I mean, listen up right now. We're talking to 70% of America, because 70% of people are overweight or obese. 1 out of 5 people is now going to die of an obesity-related disease. They're now terming obesity as a disease.
Wow.
Okay? And then what did I start the show off tonight with? I started it off with the one word, responsibility. Right? So it's your responsibility to be healthy. It's nobody else's responsibility. It's not your spouse's responsibility. It's not your doctor's responsibility to get you healthy. It's not Dr. Rick or myself. It's not our responsibility to get you healthy. We're here to coach you. You know, when patients come into our office, Dr. Rick, it's not that doctor-patient relationship. It's doctor-doctor. You know, right. You are your own best doctor. You're in more control of your health than we are in control of your health. So we're there to help you, coach you, guide you. You know, we're going to be removing the interferences from your spine so your endocrine system works better, the hormones work better, you're not in pain, you don't have headaches, you actually feel like you can go work out because you're not constantly in pain, or you're not in the fear that the moment you go work out and lift a weight or do a class, you're going to throw your back or your neck out, right, and you're going to be out for the count. And you can't be out for the count because you've got work, you've got to be a parent, you've got all this other stuff to do. And so We're going to get you to that position where you feel comfortable going and doing these things. But please realize that obesity is a huge thing. You know, it is a sickness. It is a disease, and it is totally reversible. I've not met one person that is obese that it is not reversible.
Right.
Okay, and it does not have to end up with surgery and, you know, weight loss medications and calorie restriction diets. That's not the long-term answer. The long-term answer is to change your lifestyle, to change what's causing you to be overweight or obese. It's because of choices that you make every single day that are going to get you in this position. Okay, you're not predetermined to be overweight or obese.
You're not just big boned.
No, we have to realize this, and we have to look in the mirror, and that really hard, long look in the mirror that says, hey, I got myself here. But guess what? I can get myself out, right? You're the only person that can get yourself out of that. Nobody else can. So you take responsibility for it. You take one day at a time, one simple step at a time, and then you build momentum on that. You get that snowball rolling. And when you do, you're going to start to get a level of health you never thought was possible. You're going to start to get some momentum. You're going to lose the first 1, 2, 3 pounds, and then 30 pounds, and then 50 pounds. And then now all of a sudden you're feeling good about yourself. You have self-confidence. You want to get back out there and do certain things. But it all starts because you took what? You took responsibility for your health. So no matter what you're going through tonight, no matter what situation it is, realize that the first step to you getting well, or you getting off of medication, or you getting out of pain, or you losing weight, is you taking responsibility for your health and saying, hey, it's up to me. I'm the only one that can get myself out of this. And you know what? That's a pretty comforting thing, because you don't have to wait on somebody else to come and save you. You can save yourself.
Yeah. A couple stories I was thinking about. I was actually on a phone call with a new patient last night, and I was talking to him, and he said he went to the doctor, and they told him, cholesterol is like over 300, your triglycerides are high, your blood pressure's up, and of course they're already talking about, hey, we're gonna have to do surgery soon and prevent you from having a heart attack, and they want him to be on all these medications, and he's like, so I need your help, and I need your accountability. And I told him, I said, you know what, I can help hound you and ask you, but ultimately, like what Dr. Chris was saying, I said, it's your responsibility. Like, I can only do so much. I can only ask. You have to be willing to take the right action steps. I was actually talking to this with my 8-year-old just a couple days ago, and he actually was asking, like, why are some people overweight? And I said, well, it's because of choices that people make. And he goes, well, why would they make a bad choice like that? And I said, well, it's that instant gratification versus long-term results. Like, we are very, we want instant gratification right now, and a lot of people, and you can look at this from not wanting to exercise because it feels better to sleep an extra 15, 30 minutes, or from procrastinating because you'd rather sit on the couch than go actually get something done, or eating, like when you pick up the donuts or the pizza, like it tastes good in that moment, but thinking about long-term results, and most people are so tied into that right now moment that we're not thinking about what it's going to be like in 2 months or 2 years or 20 years. And I said, to be honest, like, it's an addiction for people that are overweight. Like, the food, they do it because it changes your mood, or it changes how you feel in that moment. It changes, your perspective sometimes too. And like, it affects so many different things. I said, there's this mental and psychological component with that, but it's you start and you don't know how to stop, and you don't know when to stop. And we were talking about this before the show. It's being able to take those small steps consistently. So we want it right now. Yeah. Like, we want to lose 100 pounds right now. We want to be off the medication right now. I want to feel better right now. But if you don't start doing the small things consistently, you're never going to get to that right now. Yeah. You're going to push this off and push it off, and it's going to get worse and worse, and you start living this life of regret. But it doesn't have to be like that. There's so many success stories of people changing the way that they live their daily lives and getting the results. We have a patient, Kristen, that this lady's driving 45 minutes, and she can't even drive, so her parents are having to bring her, but she's already lost like 40 pounds, and she's actually started to be able to go outside and walk now, and all of these different things. She's gotten rid of her cane and walker and all this stuff, and I just look at that, and her dad was telling me yesterday, he was like, I'm so proud of her.
How old is she?
And she's 48, 50, she's 50 years old, basically. And her dad was saying, like, I am so proud of her because of her taking action and her seeing her do things that she hasn't done in 15 years. And I was just like, I got so excited, and I said, I'm glad you said that, because most people come in and they say, oh, thank you for, healing me or whatever. Like, you made the steps.
Yeah.
It was your choice to come in. It was your choice to eat better. It was your choice to do your home care. It was your choice to get adjusted. Like, you're the one doing this, and it's your body that heals itself. That is the main thing you have to realize. We just have to lay the plan out and help you take the right steps and follow through with that.
And realize, like, the beautiful thing that just happened is that when you change yourself and you take action for yourself, think about how that changes the people you love.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's huge. So, I mean, if you have a spouse and you haven't been taking care of your health, and you start to take care of your health, and now all of a sudden you have more energy, you're less cranky, you're less tired, you feel better about yourself, your libido goes up a little bit, all of these things start to happen because you took responsibility, you took action on your health, and your kids start to see this and they think, oh my gosh, mom or dad, like they're like throwing me around again. They're running around outside with me. They're not just sitting on the couch anymore. They're not just on their phone all the time anymore. They're happier. They're not just asleep all the time. This is huge things, because your health and the way you change it is going to affect everyone around you. And for a second, think about if you don't. When you don't change your health and you are doing all of these things where your husband, your spouse, your wife, your kids, they're seeing this, or, God forbid, they have to be around when you get sick, and they have to be the ones that are taking care of you because you haven't taken care of yourself. Okay, guys, I know there's some things that happen to us that we just can't control, but there's also so many things that we can control. And so the things that you have to do, and God's always given us action. God's given us free choice. And so the things that you have free choice over, you have to take responsibility for those, and you have to make the choice. And the first choice starts by calling the number. The number is 877-778-6978. That's 877-778-6978. This is Max Living Radio. Myself, Dr. Chris Kordic in McKinney, Dr. Rick Royston in Plano, Dr. Aaron Walls in Fort Worth. So you got the 3 offices to choose from. When you call in, you're going to make a $40 deposit over the phone. It's going to cover the initial exam and consultation. X-rays are an additional fee, guys. We love you. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope this helped tonight.